Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. My name is Derek from the Pacific Coast Auto Studios in Japan, and this is Drives Japan, the most interesting show that is on the internet at the moment.
I can confirm this is the most interesting show on the internet, and I'm Mike. I'm part of the most interesting show. Now for Max.
I'm gonna disable the subtitles because it looks funky.
Whoa.
So I'm the guy who doing the technical stuff, and apparently I don't do it well.
I was going to say, that was such a smooth intro.
Was it?
You were very
like
smooth.
That? I'm glad. I'm looking at the screen right now, Max, and I feel like we're up a little bit taller than we usually are. Look at how close my head is to the top.
Yeah.
Is that intentional?
Yes, it is.
So people like heads near the top? Because I kind of feel like I should be going down. That's all I can
can't
go
down anymore.
You and your big 6'4" stature.
Oh. Wow.
Max, how tall are you?
179.
178.
Mike?
I don't know, 190 something. 191, 192.
Do we know that in in freedom units?
5'10".
6'12".
You'd be about 5'10" as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so in today's episode of the Cool JDM show, what are we going to be talking about? We have a ton of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not forget we are in Japan, and so everyone who is a weeb, I'll make sure that you stay tuned because I know that you love to hear things about Japan.
Like and subscribe.
We are going to talk about a very important topic. Well, I guess it's not that important, but it is entertaining. We're talking about the prices of things in Japan compared to the USA. And so anyone who has been on vacation to Japan is going to know that things here can be really cheap or sometimes really expensive.
Yep.
So we'll be talking about that. We'll also give you an update on the Drives Japan channel, right, Max?
Yep.
We are going to talk about some cars that were registered in Japan. It's a secret, but that secret is only going to be for about 2 minutes because we're going to talk about it soon.
Oh, yeah.
Grant is bidding on a car to buy himself live during the show.
Oh, is it coming up during the show?
It is.
Delayed a little bit.
12:32. Okay, so at the end of the show, potentially you'll be able to see if Grant bought the car. So we'll talk about that as well. Actually, we'll talk about that right now. It's a Suzuki Swift.
Oh, I thought we were going to make it a secret.
Nope, it's a Suzuki Swift. I make the rules here, Mike.
No, I didn't know. It's not a secret.
And by the end of the show, we'll stretch on the show a little bit to get
the show will not finish until the bid is finished.
To get the reaction of Grant potentially buying this new car, which is exciting for him. He got the Honda Fit, and ever since he got it, he's been thinking about other girls.
He's dirty little cheater.
Right? Even all the money that he spends on his current car is like maybe trying to convince himself that he made the right decision.
I think he did make the right decision. I want to talk about this a lot. Wait.
Let's talk about that one after the
Later.
intro. Yeah. Max did some car things, and we're going to be talking about auction picks this week and dealer picks, as well as your Q&A at the end of the show, probably within about an hour from now. If we don't get sidetracked, Mr. Max always pointing at the clock. Derek, hurry up. You're going on a tangent.
Mm-hmm. So many tangents.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this week at PCA, hey, give me some reverb.
Let's go.
Now you say it.
This week at PCA.
Okay, let's first start talking about Grant's car, because you said you got some things to say about it.
Okay, yeah. So Grant has a Honda Fit RS. It's a cool car, and he has spent a lot of money improving it and making it like the car that he wants to have. I was about to say something, but it gives away something else a little over. Big fan of Honda right here. I mean, yeah, I know. So I kind of don't want him to sell the car, but being a person who's into cars, you want to try lots of different cars. So it is fun and exciting.
Yeah, Grant's currently on Team Honda.
Yeah.
And I'm on Team Honda because our family minivan is a Honda Elysion, which I love so much. And I've always loved Type Rs, especially the FD2 is my favorite. And so I took the FD2's wheels and put them on my minivan and put a Type R badge in the back just so I can be part of the Type R team.
Yeah, it looks sick.
Grant's is a Type RS, which is not a Type R, but it wasn't available in North America. It is a little bit fast, little bit faster than the version that they got in North America. Yeah. So it is kind of cool in that respect. And I love the car. I always have. Yeah. You can check out a video of it. It's on the Pacific Coast Auto channel. This channel. You can go type Grant's car or something. You'll probably find it.
Yes.
Yes, you can find it.
So if he does
Confirmed.
win a Swift, I will be sad to see his Fit go. But on to new things.
I think that the Swift might be a little bit more up his alley because it
Maybe,
is a
yeah.
little bit sportier than the Fit. And I
Yeah.
think he's always like, I want this to be faster.
Yeah, he has said that a lot. So
Also, now that I've got my Corolla, I'm officially the slowest out of everybody who works here. Swap out the Elise, probably, you know, among the fastest, depending on how good of a driver you are.
yeah.
To the Corolla, which no matter how good of a driver you are, you're going to be really slow. Cars of the 1950s, no, not 1950s. Cars of the 1970s just aren't as fast as they are nowadays. So,
But you have done some improvements.
Oh,
to it
segue.
already.
Oh, good.
so the cars that were registered, there were actually 2 PCA cars that were recently registered within the last week, I guess, a week/2 weeks. And mine, here's a picture. You can show that now, Max. And this is the first picture of my car. No, it's not the first picture of my car once registered. The third picture of my car once registered. And you can see the plate in the back. I picked the plate number 1972 because I am a nerd. And
But
I'm
wait.
ready to go driving now.
There's a little secret in this image. There is one part of this car that is shinier than the rest.
It's actually pretty shiny in that picture, I must
It is,
say.
yeah.
That's
it
just from my
looks
cell
really
phone.
good. Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
did a good job cleaning it. Because
I'm going to tell you what my wife said about the car too, because I took
Yeah.
her for a drive yesterday.
Mhm.
But what's this shiny bit you're talking about? Because I want to hear.
the shiny bit, it looks like that car has a fresh muffler.
Mhm.
Can you tell us more?
So I got the car registered, and part of the registration is you have to get it inspected to make sure it's safe for the road, and certain things can pass even though they're not safe, like airbag lamps.
Yeah. Oops.
And certain things like exhaust leaks are not allowed to pass. And so the car came from the auction with an exhaust leak, and so I needed to repair the exhaust. And since this is going to be potentially a long-term car for me, I wanted to get a nice one. And it's very nice that Fujitsu, the exhaust company, makes the exhaust for this car still.
Yeah.
So I got a full header to tailpipe exhaust, and it is a little bit aftermarket-y, but I think it is pretty decent sounding. And you can zoom into the tip. It's all nice and chrome now.
Show Derek's tip.
And I gotta say, on a car this old, something like a shiny tip really goes a long way in showing that you've got a well put together car. When you see a classic car that's 50 years old like this, your first impression is, wow, that's cool, it's still on the road, what a neat classic car. And then you think, I wonder how much rust there is underneath. I wonder how
Yeah.
many broken parts in the interior there are. I wonder if it's going to break down on the side of the road today. And so little things like a shiny exhaust will say, this car is actually maintained well.
Whoa.
And it, and I think that makes me feel happy.
And the old exhaust was bad, right? It had a big rip in it, and we went out driving to Daikoku, and you said it didn't sound the way you wanted it to sound.
Yeah, and in an old car like this, the sound is pivotal for your driving. Like, the performance of a car is one thing, but the sound of a car is a large part of why we like cars. And this car is known to sound great. ITBs, open air filters right next to the ITBs, gives it a very throaty sound to it. Having the exhaust, game changer. It sounds so good. And we got a picture of the engine, which was the first picture that I took of the car once it was registered. There it is. And as you can see, it's got that new header on it.
Looks good. Really good.
The old header, I believe, was like a classic TRD one, so I still kept it. And unfortunately, it does need a repair. But it was one of those styles that comes up above the engine, which I really, really like. You know what I'm talking about? The tubes come up from the engine, and then they all wrap around in like this big kind of like circular manifold.
Yeah.
The aftermarket one that I got doesn't have that, but I couldn't find anything that was brand new that had that style because they don't have that style anymore, really. But I do like the look of that, and it'll make the engine look good when you open it. If you zoom out a little bit, you can see the twin carbs there with their little filters. That's also something that I put on myself. It did come with the original airbox, but that dampens the sound, that that ITB sound that everyone likes.
Visceral ITB sound.
Yep, and took it for a little 20-minute drive yesterday, kind of my first time enjoying the car. Brought along my wife, and was very eager to hear her opinion on the car. And she likes it. She's like, I like the car. Good job.
She said nicer than the Lotus, didn't she?
Yeah, she said she enjoys this car more than the Lotus. And the reason why is because the Lotus suspension is really hard. Really hard. It creaks a little bit, or rattles, especially at idle. It'll have it'll get a certain resonance and something will rattle in it, which is a little bit annoying. It's tight inside the cockpit. It's really difficult to get in and out of, these sorts of things.
Not a comfortable experience, but a fast experience.
She did think the seatbelts were a little bit weird, and I totally agree with that. The seatbelts in this are weird. Most seatbelts are 3-point seatbelt, and this one has 3 points, which is good. 70s, a 3-point seatbelt was a new thing, right? But they don't retract from the top. Like most seatbelts, you pull down from the top, right?
Yeah.
And then you can click them in. This one is hard mounted at the top and then retracts from the side down below. And so she's like, how come I can't put the seatbelt on without realizing that you have to pull it out, and then you have to, like the center seat belt in the rear of cars, you have to adjust how long it is. You have to do that for each driver in this one as well. And since they're old seatbelts, they're not easy to adjust. So that was a little bit of a learning experience.
It's a fun thing when you first get in that car because you're being transported to a different time where things were different. The modern way of doing things wasn't invented yet. So
there were no rear seatbelts in it either. No rear seatbelts because it wasn't mandatory at that time in Japan. You could option them if you wanted to be extra safe, but why would you? My wife was like, wow, it's got 4 seats, so better than the Elise. You can take our kids in the back. And I'm like, I don't think our kids are going to be driving in this. It's not only does it not have rear seatbelts, but there was no such thing as crash safety at this time. And so the car is only 830 kilograms. That's literally half the weight of most of the other cars on the road. And so you get in an accident and it's going to... So you have to be alert while driving it. And
but Derek's car is registered and ready for rips. So new video coming soon.
Really?
PCA, all drives their cars out in the mountains.
You're going out on a limb on that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Zaid is asking what is up with the tape on the firewall.
I don't know.
We don't know.
No, there's tape on the firewall. Maybe I should take that off.
Mystery tape.
So other feedback that she gave, she said that it's not as loud as the Lotus, which is something that she likes. And she said the interior needs to be cleaned up and a few things replaced. There's a missing piece of the console that's about this big. And it's like, so there's the dashboard, right? And then there's the center stack, like the waterfall, and there's like a missing piece. And inside that will usually go a clock, and it's about the same size as the top of a coffee cup. Like it's a really big analog clock. I really want to get one, and I told her about that. She's like, that sounds cool. And I'm like, yeah, if you can find one, it's $1,000.
Oh, wow.
So certain things are easy to get. Most parts for maintenance are easy to get, but little things like dashboard pieces, not a lot of people have them anymore. So it's old car business, you know. You go to a meet and you show off your car, and the guy's like, you've got the clock. And I'm like, yes, I can tell time.
Oh, yeah, I got the clock.
The registration of the car cost me $458,672 yen. And so I'll quickly do the breakdown for this. The actual cost of registering it was probably around I'll do it in US dollars just to make it easier, but probably around $1,200 to register it. The exhaust was about $1,500. And various other things. We got some wheel cylinders replaced. We got brake fluid changed. We have already changed all the fluids, like the oil, the differential fluid, the transmission fluid. I think it's straight cut gears in this transmission because they whine a lot. Like you get that sound when your transmission is just turning.
Cool.
So
I like it.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I do. Yeah.
Oh, we got the engine oil changed again. Excellent. 3.7 liters of new oil. Actually, we put in cheap oil the first time so that we can clean things out.
Right.
And then we intended to put some good engine oil in afterwards, so that's fine. Oil filter replaced. It was 1,600 yen. Muffler has been replaced. They charged me about $200 to mount that. Windshield wipers were replaced. It was like $10 for wipers. There's actually spoilers on the wipers.
Oh, cool.
From the 70s. You know how some cars have that? They'll have a little air deflector on it that holds the wiper on the windshield.
Arrow wipers.
Yeah, both of them have a little spoiler on them made out of metal. It's really cool.
To help you go fast.
Everything on the car is made out of metal.
Yeah.
There's no plastic anywhere.
And yet, 850 kilos.
It's. I was lying about that. The console is all plastic, but still, lots of things like door handles made out of metal instead of plastic. What else on here? Brake fluid had been changed. Master cylinder O-ring was changed. There was a leak in both rear wheel cylinders. Fan belt was replaced. Marker bulbs were replaced. Hazard light switch was repaired.
You mentioned there was a bunch of little things that you wanted to get fixed and looked at, and it seems like they did most of it, right?
Yeah. So
they did a really nice job.
So pretty happy. I can go ahead and drive that now for 2 more years before I have to re-register it.
So
And
a video coming, PCA channel.
I am stoked to drive this car.
Japan.
Drives Japan. Subscribe if you're not subscribed to see Derek driving his Corolla in the mountains of Japan.
Right. Side note, the Lotus I drove in 2.5 years that I owned it. I drove it 3,500 kilometers, including an over 1,000 kilometer trip. So basically 1,500 kilometers or about 1,000 miles per year. Not very much, right?
Yeah.
And so that car was a pain in the butt to drive. It's in a car elevator. It takes me like 5 minutes to take it out of the car elevator. Then it's hard to get in and out of. And I can only drive it on sunny days because I want to have the top off, you know. I really feel like this Corolla is going to be more accessible to me, which means I'm going to drive it more. It doesn't have AC, which is something I fear a little bit. But I also kind of want to, like, I want to punish myself a little bit to see how strong I am. You know, I'm reading Dragon Ball right now. It's just like Goku says. He wants to get into fights
training.
to get himself pumped up. Reading it with my son. I think Dragon Ball is great to read by yourself, but it is even better to read with your 9-year-old son.
Yeah.
And
That's gonna be tough.
The car is like beating me up without the AC to make me a stronger person. So I'm taking it on as a challenge. My wife mentioned the AC 3 times.
Yeah.
When driving. She's
We're not
like,
even in the height of
So
summer
can you
yet.
install AC into this? Oh, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Japanese summers are intense.
Yeah. You got to be careful. You got to have like a little
if I've
boy
got
with
cyan blood in me, it means I'm going to get stronger each time that I drive my car.
you. Or you'll get heat stroke.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the two.
I think first step would be getting rid of the sand.
Oh, yeah.
No. I'm going to keep those vents closed at all times.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first time we rode in Derek's car, when he received it, I think we turned on the air or something. We just got blasted in the face with sand.
Apparently
sand
the
everywhere.
fan doesn't work. So I don't think the car has a heater.
Okay.
Yeah. And apparently the parts weren't available and he
Right.
didn't want to go and get it rebuilt or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
It'll take longer than we were on a bit of a time crunch because Derek picked the 1972 plate.
and I wanted
So it
to
had to
drive
be
it
done.
before it gets too hot so I can enjoy it.
Yeah. That means PCA video coming soon. Derek drives his Corolla in Japan.
It honestly doesn't drive that well. It is very,
But that's the whole point.
I feel like the original Mini drives better than my Corolla by a good amount. The original Mini is very, very good handling. This one, kind of no power steering, also kind of sucks. The driving dynamics, rear wheel drive, live axle, leaf springs in the back.
I think it needs to be dialed in a bit, and then maybe you'll decide to modify it a little bit to make the dynamics a bit better. But
Also, I would just like to point out the top mounts again, Derek.
You think those are bad? Oh, you know what I said to my wife? I was like, this car gives me the feeling, like I have this nostalgic feeling for when you're poor and you have a car, but you're a car enthusiast, but you don't have enough money to fix the things. So you just have to get used to certain things being broken.
Right. And work around them, right? Or drive around them.
Drive around them is what I was thinking. So this car absolutely gives me that feeling. You have to drive around the car a little bit.
Yeah.
And it felt good for some reason. Like most people would be like, that's annoying. I don't want to have to deal with that. But for me, it was like, I feel like I'm 19 years old again.
Yeah.
It was really neat.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not the only person who had registered a car. Mike Dennis.
That's right. Guessing time is over. The reveal time is
One person
now.
got it right.
One person did get it right. I can't
Of the
remember who
3
that was
people
now.
who guessed what it was.
Yeah. 3 people guessed and one of them was right. Oh, was Greg? Okay. Greg, I don't know if you're here. I don't see you in the chat, but I think you got it right.
Do you want to do drum rolls or anything?
Yeah. Do you have any music or any?
I don't think I have. I don't know
Just
what
hit
each button does.
Hit the button.
I'm just gonna hit this. That was the disappointment button.
Oh, it was. Oops.
Okay, we're not gonna press any buttons. Do you want to announce it? Should I click on it?
Yeah, I think you can click on the picture and show the image.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
Honda boy.
Yep.
Yeah, I bought a Honda Civic Type R. My first Type R. My first Honda. Well, first Honda was a bike. 2 of them. Both crashed. This is my third Honda. Not crashed. Yeah.
Oh, look at the response.
I was,
Type R? Hell yeah. Very nice.
Ooh.
And you're getting hearts.
Yeah, hearts.
People spam the hearts right now.
That's
Mike
cool.
needs to feel like he made the right decision.
Yeah. So I'll that's a picture of it actually on Mount Fuji, on one of the viewing stations.
So
I know,
JDM.
very Japan. Rising sun, man.
You're
What can I
on.
say?
You're.
Yeah. The number plate is 69 because I'm a child and I think it's funny as heck.
Wouldn't it be funny if you just get a plate and they happen to give you 69?
I did. Well, you can't have only the 2 numbers, right? It would automatically give you
It would
4.
give 69, 69.
I could have 69.
No, but you paid extra money to make sure you got a 69 plate.
I did pay
Your
extra.
second time doing that, I might add.
Yeah, that the BMW had that too. Yeah, I think it's funny that you can choose that.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I had a short list of cars that I was interested in. As you know, I really wanted a Corvette. The reason I didn't go for I'll give you like a quick breakdown of the cars that I wanted and why I didn't get them and why I got this. So the Corvette is, number one, it's very expensive. It's also hard to get a C6 Corvette that is past 2008, and I didn't want the LS7. I wanted the LS3, but it just very hard to find, also very, very expensive, and probably not good to have in Japan. So that's more of like a dream car for later on. The GRB and GVB Subaru STIs. What generation is that? 4th? 8th? I can't remember. But I think you know the one I'm talking about.
Third.
Yeah.
3rd and 4th.
Yeah, one of them is the hatchback. And
And you bid on a bunch of them.
Yeah, I did. I bid on a whole bunch.
So your life could have been completely different.
Could have been EJ20 life. I loved my Legacy. I loved the EJ20. I was looking for something more sporty because the Legacy was too floppy and not really sporty enough in the corners.
Yeah. You have graduated past floppy and now you're into hard with
Yeah.
the FD2.
So missed out on the STIs, and then I had floated the idea of this in the office, and many people were like, "Yeah, that's sick. Definitely get the FD2." But we're also saying, I don't know if it's going to be enough power for me. I usually have higher powered cars. I like to go fast. And so I was a little bit worried too. I get speeding tickets sometimes. But I don't really know how it happened. I think because I lost the STIs, I went for this, and I think Grant probably played the biggest role in convincing me to get this. Chirping in my ear every day, being like, I don't know, you're looking for something sporty that handles corners. And yeah, I think I got a really good price on this one. It's a R grade, but it doesn't feel like it. It's in very good condition. I haven't noticed any troubles with it. I've only driven it once, but yeah. Someone said interior shots, please. Or Denzel said interior shots, please. It has the red interior,
which is amazing.
Yeah, it's
I
sick.
wouldn't want to have
Yeah.
a Civic. With
Can you bring up what it looks like just for the people?
I don't have any interior shots. I'm sorry, but we'll.
It's a brand
we'll
new
bring some
car
up.
to you, and you have
Yeah.
driven it in the mountains. Obviously, you have that picture from Mount Fuji. So this is a car that's all about the driving dynamics. Are you impressed?
I am thoroughly impressed. I was one of the people that never subscribed to like the Type R fandom. I don't know why. Probably just because I'd never tried one. I drove a friend's B18. I don't know, C what, but it was a swapped Civic, not a Type R, and I thought that was a riot to drive. So yeah, that's the interior of the car. It's got the black and red, and it looks sweet. It was one of my requirements for getting one of these. I had to have the red interior. It's got red carpets and everything like that. It looks cool. It looks racy. You have to pay a bit more for it, but
It's the
I wouldn't have
final
it in the
version
driving.
of the naturally aspirated Type Rs
Yeah.
before they
So-
went turbocharged.
Yeah, I've always had this like little lingering thought in the back of my mind, or dream, that I wanted to have a track car for the road, something that was just stripped out, didn't have any of the like the electrical assists, like I kind of fight back against the new car.
Especially after the
language.
BMW.
Yeah, I think the BMW really hammered it home where I was like, I don't want this again. Just too many sensors and BS. And I've been pleasantly surprised
At the lack of traction control.
Yeah, there's no traction control. There's no like rain sensing wipers. There's no, I don't know, everything.
Is there an interior clock?
But no, only on the Navi, I think. Yeah. It doesn't have any like of your driving statistics, like measuring the throttle position to how much gas you're using. It just has like none of that, none of anything. Yeah. I love it.
And it's got a few aftermarket parts already, right?
It does. It has an aftermarket header, it has an aftermarket cat, and it has like a race exhaust.
Or no exhaust.
Yeah, it's way too loud.
It's a pipe.
Yeah. It is a pipe. It is a Zero Fighter
Straight
racing pipe. It is, yeah, straight pipe Honda. It's actually too loud.
You're gonna do something about that?
Yeah.
You keep saying yeah, but you don't actually do it, so.
I'm not a good person when it comes to the loudness of my vehicles. So part of me very much likes it, but the other part of me knows that it doesn't sound good.
Right. Yeah. And then that front lip is something a little bit special?
Front lip and grille are both from Mugen. The cat is from Sard. The manufacturer of the header I don't know, and then it's like a spoon mid pipe with a Zero Fighter exhaust.
The Sard cat is expensive.
Yeah, it's like 100,000 yen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apart from that, it doesn't have too many mods. Like I wish I could find the previous owner of this vehicle. I think they did everything that I would have liked them to do, and none of the things that I wouldn't have liked them to do. So seems like they kept it in really good shape. Yeah, very, 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 very happy.
Yeah, I think Grant's happy too, because now we got 3 people on the Type R team. Sort of.
It eats corners like no one's business.
That's
I was
cool.
just ripping up Fuji. There are some very nice
aftermarket suspension too, right? Dealer optional aftermarket suspension.
Yeah, the modulo suspension. So far, very impressed as well. It has. Grant was saying that it rates really highly when they do the hot version testing. It got very high reviews. I think it was like one of the best suspensions they had. So
I have been a huge fan of these cars for a long time. And here in Japan, and elsewhere in the world too, but here in Japan, they tend to punch above their weight. They are faster on corners than anything that has even double the power of them, because they are very well engineered. The engines are great, but they also do the same thing with price. Like you compare this to the Impreza, right?
Right.
For the same mileage, you pay more for this car, even though it's well down on power compared to the Impreza. Yeah. It's not 4-wheel drive, and it's
front-wheel drive too. A lot of people are like, I have to have a rear-wheel drive car. I like driving. It's got to be rear-wheel drive.
Jacob's like that.
Yeah, I hear it a lot.
And Max.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think a lot of young people are like that, or a lot of people who came up in the 90s, because when JDM cars, a lot of the Hondas, past Hondas and stuff were all front-wheel drive. Yeah. And then people are like, muscle cars.
Yeah.
I don't know. In my era, it was like, if you like Japanese cars, you're a pussy. Then there weren't any front-wheel drive performance cars that, Mustangs, Camaros, that sort of thing is the thing. But front-wheel drive performs really well. And I will say you have to be a better driver to drive a front-wheel drive car fast because of the understeer. Like rear-wheel drive, you know exactly when you're getting the oversteer and you can learn to control it. Right. I think that's playing on easy mode. You want to go fast. And like a lot of the tracks in Japan have if they're kind of a medium or slower track, front-wheel drive are faster, well faster on those tracks than rear-wheel drive is.
I will say my first car was the Euro version of this, not the Type R.
You're so cool, Max.
Yes. I had front-wheel drive, and then I got the 86, and I was like, oh, rear-wheel drive is sweet.
Yeah. I think also, like, if you want to do slides and things like that when you're a young person, that is very fun, and I get it. It's understandable. Not really my thing, but yeah. And this is the most expensive, smallest engine car I've ever had.
Both.
Yeah, both at the same time, which I think is
You had the Legacy,
funny.
which had the same size engine, but not the turbo.
Right. So it's like it's down on power. And it's weird that that's also the most expensive car. But you can kind of see why these cars came up in Japan, because they're so well suited to the roads here.
Right.
Like the E63 AMG that I had, fantastic car, probably best car I would ever own, like nicest car, but it's so out of place here.
Oh yeah.
The whole time you're like, I don't know, second gear, and even that's too slow sometimes.
And it's weird too, because with a really powerful heavy car like that, you kind of get used to the power, and so you don't really appreciate it. But with like a kind of a smaller, lighter, higher revving car, you don't really get used to the power in the same way. Like when the revs are at high RPM, you get a certain sound and a shaking of the car that gives it some drama and makes it feel a little bit more special and a little bit like, whoa, you're going fast, even if you're not going as fast.
Yeah. And I really wanted that. I wanted to take a step away from the bad decisions I had made for purchasing cars. Or cars just weren't for me. So yeah, I'm very happy, and it handles incredibly well, better than I had expected. Cool. I thought 4-door, maybe it's not as sporty, but not true. Very sporty. Very
DW happy. Was asking what the market is like on these at the moment.
You don't want to say what you paid, do you?
I'd rather not say what I paid, but like mine is an R grade and it's got 123,000 kilometers on it, so not low, but I think the condition is much higher than you would expect given the stats on paper.
But if somebody were looking to buy one of these, how much would you recommend, like a price range?
I would say I kind of bought near the bottom of the market. I think I got a little bit lucky. A good price. Yeah, I think I got a good price given the condition. Maybe I'll find out why soon when things start breaking.
Don't.
But I mean, it's a Honda.
Me.
Yeah.
Be like me.
I think you'll probably be looking at 1.5 million on the low end, all the way up to probably 3 million if you wanted a really nice low mileage one.
How about a Mugen RR?
8 million.
6.5 to 10.
Yeah, Grant just said 6.5 to 10.
So 100,000 or 10 million yen.
Yeah.
For the Mugen RR, but they only made 200 of them or 500 or something like that.
Really low. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cream of the crop for the Civics, but
if you get the reference, let me know in the chat.
So. Yeah.
Okay, we have other car things to talk about before we get into our main topic, so let's move on to that. And this one is a Max story, including pictures. So Max, why don't you tell us what happened with your car?
Do that really quickly. I needed to change my speakers because they're blue. And
I thought you just because they were blue and I want red. Right? But he means blown speakers.
Because they blew because the speaker's blue, or because the sound just, my speaker's blue. That lunch blue.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's so many different English.
No, they ripped.
Because
I don't know.
No, I know why. You told us.
Maybe bass. I cranked the bass too much. But I don't know. They could have been ripped when I got the car, but I changed the EQ and then it started doing it. So I got new speakers. And
Can we see pictures?
Yes. And that is a huge recommendation. It's a Kenwood speaker.
Did you put that foam insulation around the outside?
I did.
Okay.
So that's a component speaker, right? So you got two speakers in one there.
Yes. No. This is a 3-way, but not this one. This is just one way. This is just like a diffuser to diffuse the sound. And then I have tweeters on top. And those are 2-way. So like a bigger speaker and a small tweeter inside.
You installed these yourself?
Yes.
Did you have tweeters in your A-pillars before, or did you have to customize that?
Yes. The previous owner did the same kit from 8 years ago. Kenwood changed none of the mounting brackets or anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean...
Why would...
Fair enough, yeah.
The only thing that was different was the wiring. So I needed to change that. But
that's cool.
That was okay.
Sound quality.
Grant, you got to experience it
on the weekend, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Max dropped by on Saturday after he was done, showed off to somebody.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Honored.
Yeah, it's really good.
And now you can listen to your funk while you're in your car.
Yes, Max.
What kind of music were you listening to when you blew the speakers?
German rap.
I don't even know if I blew the speakers. Why is this a thing?
He did. He was listening to that Naniga ski song, the ice cream song.
That was
max volume.
Does anyone in the chat know what they're talking about?
I hope so.
If you live in Japan, you can't avoid it.
For like multiple weeks now, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
They sing it in the office, but I bet you anything nobody's going to want to sing it on the show.
Nope. We did last week, though. Accidentally, maybe. So if you want to see all of the PCA staff driving their cars, stay tuned on the Drives Japan YouTube channel.
We didn't talk about the Drives Japan YouTube channel.
We didn't.
No, just briefly,
because I'm pointing at the time right now.
We got
Denzel knows. I love that.
We got 80 more subscribers in the last week.
80?
It seems like this last video, the PCA staff drive Derek's Lotus. It got decent views. It got 3 times as much as our average, or maybe even more than that, 4 times more than our average, which is great. But the subscriber to view ratio is off the chart. We've never had high of subscriber to view ratio. So that means people who watch that and they're like, damn, this is good. I'm going to watch that. Hit the subscribe button. So any of you that's watching right now who saw that video and subscribed, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. And if
all
you
of our hard work is paying off.
Yeah, I have to say, Max and Derek were looking at the stats a lot, and we're
every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
On the weekend, I was like every hour. Oh, how is it looking?
Like you guys in particular, you put the most effort and time into making the video, and when you put that much effort into something, you want to see. You want to see it do well, or you want to see how people like it and enjoy it. So it was a very rewarding thing to. It
was a fun video to shoot too.
I was happy. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was a fun day.
We went out on a Sunday and just kind of like a hangout / shoot the video and
break the BMW.
I'd like to do more of those like dedicated video shoots for the channel as well.
Yes. So if you liked it, there'll be more coming on the Drives Japan YouTube channel. Sorry, I'll stop
wait,
that. That's probably annoying.
What's the URL for that? Okay, so on to, you got your review. You talk for the rest of the show.
Reverb, please, Max. We've got, what is it? Industry topics and news, but this time it's, why is Japan so cheap, or is it? Sorry, that was on the fly. Didn't really plan
We didn't really come up with a name that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. We're going up. Sorry, you go.
So a ton of people are coming to Japan on vacation, and they're like, wow, I thought things were more expensive in Japan. When I came here in 2006, this was a while ago, the sentiment was that Japan is more expensive than anywhere else in the world. People who grew up in the 80s heard about this. Wow, watermelons are $100 in Japan. Did you know that? This is really before the internet went and showed us things, but Japan was going through an economic bubble through the 80s, kind of into the 90s, and stuff in Japan was really expensive.
Yep.
And now stuff in Japan is really cheap. So a lot of people don't realize that things have gone haywire. Like the yen has taken a big hit in the last 3 years, and as a result, a lot of things are cheaper. But some of the things are still more expensive. And so now we're going to talk about that. Yeah. We're going to discuss. And if you come to Japan, you can experience this yourself. I've got this segment actually for people who intend to come to Japan on a vacation, what they might experience.
Okay.
So we can talk about that.
We do often have customers saying that they're coming on holiday to Japan for the first time, and they ask us for recommendations or, I don't know, just our opinion on certain things. So maybe this will help if you're in that category considering a trip to Japan. But also we'll talk about car prices and like a caveat here. We're not the Census Bureau. This is not an in-depth analysis of pricing in Japan.
Before we did this segment.
This is a quick glance at the price differences between Japan and the USA.
Basically what Mike's saying is if we screw anything up, it's not our fault. Yeah. So you go home to your mom and then you say, hey, did you know that stuff in Japan is this expensive?
Yeah. And she asked ChatGPT and ChatGPT's like, actually, that's wrong.
Actually, you're an idiot. Where'd you get that from? Yeah. Then you can blame it on Mike. Okay? So because it is a car show, we'll start with cars. And a lot of people don't realize that cars are really cheap in Japan for basically every car compared to what you can get in North America. So I picked out a handful of them. The most important one that I wanted to pick out is the one that I think is the most interesting. And that's the Toyota Land Cruiser 250.
Okay.
So the 250 Land Cruiser in North America is not the full Land Cruiser. US has had the Land Cruiser since the 1960s. And it's always been the Land Cruiser. And then there's this new Land Cruiser called the 250, which isn't the Land Cruiser, but they still call it the Land Cruiser. And as a result, I think that they mark up the price more than other cars because of that.
Yeah.
So this car is known as the Land Cruiser Prado in Japan, which is a light-duty version of the Land Cruiser.
Do they call it the Prado here? I thought
they call it the Land Cruiser 250 here,
right?
But in some markets, they still call it the Prado.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is down market from the Land Cruiser. The proper Land Cruiser is the 300 series, and the 250 is the light duty one. Yeah. And it's pretty normal for them to give a chassis code that is the 5 to the 10.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but like there will be like a 100 series, and then the Prado will be the 95 series, and then there will be a 200 series, and the Prado will be the 195 series. So it's always just like one down. That one in Japan, and I've converted all of these to US dollars just to make it clean. So that Prado in Japan costs $35,800. In the USA, that same car costs $58,150. These are both the base model version, so you can add on price if you want.
Yeah.
That's a difference in 62% for the exact same vehicle.
$23,000.
Yeah, I should have gotten like difference in monetary amount.
That's okay. I got quick math. It might not be right, but it will be quick. But that is right.
That's huge. 62% difference.
Yeah.
When the
For the
300
exact same
series
car.
came out, it was retailing in Japan for base price was 6 million yen. So almost the same price as this. In Australia, it was over $100,000.
Yeah.
So it was twice the price.
Still is,
for the
I
same
think.
vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's because they have to sell the cars in Japan for a price that the market can accept.
Yeah.
And we'll get more into Japanese salaries a little bit later, but the salaries in Japan are really low.
How about we run over all the cars and then we talk a little bit about like why car buying in Japan is...
Sure. Toyota RAV4, the most popular Japanese car in the USA. So in the USA, the most popular vehicle that's sold is the F-150. The second most popular is the Chevrolet version of the F-150, whatever they call it, the 1500 or whatever. Mm-hmm. The third most popular sold car is the Toyota RAV4.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they sell like 500,000 of them per year. It's insane. In Japan, 25,500. In the USA, 30,645. A 20% increase in the USA.
$5,000 more to
Good
buy
math.
it in the USA.
$5,145 more. It's
Better
quick
math.
and accurate. But it was easy. Tesla Model Y, the most popular electric vehicle. You can buy them in Japan.
I think this is very surprising.
In Japan, 38,600. In the USA, 50,630. A 31% difference in price. Why do you find it surprising?
It's a USA brand for one. Like we've listed 2 Japanese brands and then we have a USA brand, but it's still cheaper here.
Right.
I would also think manufacturing.
Outside market stuff is usually more expensive here.
Yeah.
Right? Like Corvettes are more expensive here.
Right, yeah. And that's a big price difference. $12,000.
Yeah. I was surprised with that one too.
I wonder, does this consider like rebates and things?
It doesn't consider anything. It's just the base price. But in the States, you're usually paying over retail, or at least have been in the last few years for the vehicles. Here in Japan, that's not a thing. You always pay retail. They don't have this kind of weird little dealers get to add money on kind of thing. It's idiotic, honestly.
Wow.
And then the Honda Civic Type R, your guy, but the new version of your guy.
I want that too.
Japan, 34,500. USA, 47,045. A 36% increase. 36% increase. Same car.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to say is that the Japanese manufacturers are here, so the prices here should be lower. They're catering to their domestic market.
Those are made in USA too. I believe the Civics are made. Well, the Type R, I know the Civics are made in both. The Type R might only be made in Japan.
Right. And I would expect the Japanese government not subsidizes, but encourages their own these massive brands in Japan to succeed, right, in certain ways. So maybe it's policy, maybe it's how things are set up in general, but there's an emphasis on that, right? So I would expect if you're buying a local brand, you're paying cheaper in the local market. But then you have the Tesla, which is just completely contrary to that.
I would like to raise German economy here, because Volkswagen you can actually get a lot cheaper from outside Germany, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Because all the cars are priced based on the market.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's the only thing. How much can we sell this for? What's the highest amount we can sell this for while still staying competitive in the market?
Yeah.
Also,
People in the US and in Germany have more money.
Yeah.
So they'll
I think
pay
they
more.
also poured a lot of money into China, so to make the cars cheaper there, so that people would buy it, and then take the money from the Western Europe market, just redistribute that.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Is that a well-known thing or a Max
It's
theory?
my theory.
Volkswagen's huge in China too, by the way. They were the number 1 for a while, and now I think they're the number 3.
Jeez. Some other reasons why cars in Japan are a bit cheaper. Vehicle loans are cheaper here. And
right.
Much easier.
I was going to mention that. Not only is the price cheaper, but the financing cost is way cheaper here. Way cheaper.
Yeah.
You're talking on the length of a loan, $15,000 less. Because the interest rate in Japan is currently at 0.5% or 0.3% or something really low.
Yeah.
Whereas the States, the interest rate is on a car loan might be 8% or something stupid.
And I think a lot of people in the USA do have car loans, but in Japan, I would say that proportionately it's higher. I would say most people would have car loans here.
Sure, yeah. At the interest rate that low, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It would be stupid not to.
Yeah. So, and the whole culture here, not many people buy used cars, I would say. Most people will buy brand new from the dealerships. There's dealership networks.
Right.
It's like the way you do things here.
And that's why there are so many used cars that get shipped off to other countries. Like, we deal mostly in USA, Canada, and Europe, right? And so we're dealing in older cars, and so it's not really noticeable. But Japan supplies the majority of cars to third world countries around the world. Like, you go to places in Africa, and it's all Toyotas that are imported from Japan. They don't sell new cars in many of these areas, or the dealerships that do sell new cars are just too expensive, and people will buy the gray market Japanese ones. We're talking 80 to 95% of the cars sold in certain areas like New Zealand. Yeah. Right?
New Zealand is one of the biggest markets. We don't make any of our own cars, so got to get them from Japan.
Yeah. Okay, so non-car related things, just because this is interesting. How much do you think, without looking at the paper, a Big Mac costs in Japan? The answer is... I figured that's not that interesting.
That's the chat can write. We can do interactive.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, hang on. How about we give them a whole bunch of things and they can guess the... I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work.
We might have to wait a while for chat to come through, and a bunch of the people in the chat, I'm sure, know the Japanese prices of things. So maybe we can just play around with it.
Okay.
So Big Mac in Japan.
Okay, so this segment is like... just a basket of goods kind of thing. Things that are
just non-car related things. I only have three things, so it should be pretty quick. The next section I think is a little bit more interesting.
Two guesses already.
Wow, one really close guess. So for goods like this, I took the prices in Tokyo and the prices in New York, because I wanted to have, like, prices for certain things are going to be very different in Kentucky compared to New York City, right? Yeah. And so I picked the Tokyo versus New York prices just to keep things on an even playing field.
That's kind of where we are. It's one of the biggest cities in the world. So pick another major city in the USA for comparison.
And without coupons or discounts or stuff. Just the regular prices for everything.
If you're a bargain shopper, this doesn't apply.
Big Mac set. What's that called in English? Meal. Big Mac meal.
Okay.
In Japan, we call it the Big Mac set.
Setto. And
Happy Set.
Right.
Instead of Happy Meal.
Right.
$4.69. New York City, $13.49. Now, I will say New York is a lot more expensive than the rest of the USA. The average in the USA was like $9.50 or something like that. But in New York, compared to Tokyo, 187% difference. That is more than twice the price. That is crazy. That's very close to 3 times the price.
Yeah, so there are some differences, right? The USA, you get a drink that is about, I don't know, this size, and you have to carry it out.
But the quality in the US is terrible for McDonald's, and in Japan, it's quite good. It's well above average, I would think. Yeah. And some of the ingredients that they use in the US, you're probably not allowed to use in Japan, or just people wouldn't eat them if they had them. Yeah. Most people who come here on vacation are like, wow, the McDonald's is good. I would actually eat there. Yeah. Or when I tell the people back home, we went to McDonald's, they're like, ew, you let your kids eat McDonald's? Yeah. That's not something that happens in Japan. Yeah. There's no parent that says, well, I'm sure there are crazy parents, but the sentiment that you shouldn't feed your kids McDonald's just isn't a thing here. Yeah. Not saying that McDonald's is healthy in Japan, but it is not as bad. Fine. That's the only thing I feed my kids, ever. Okay. McDonald's is helping to raise Derek's young family. Please sponsor the show. We've got a GoFundMe. Yeah. It's really cheap. It's only $4.69 for a Big Mac set. I would like to ask the people watching in chat, though, like, $13.50 seems outrageous for a Big Mac meal in the USA. I suspect that most people would be paying coupon prices. Right. And you mentioned that... Or app prices or something. Like... US wide, the average was around $9 or something, so it's higher price. That still seems so expensive. It does, like $9 US. That's a lot, right? It's still double. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that is the real price or if you feel like it's worth it. And I know a lot of people have been complaining about fast food prices in the USA jumping up since COVID. So, yikes! I would not go to McDonald's if it cost that much. Yeah. I mean, I don't go to McDonald's anyway, but. Mike. Unreasonable. Yes. Did you buy a Nintendo Switch too?
No, I didn't. How much does it cost?
Nobody in the office has bought a Switch 2 yet.
Are they actually out?
Yeah, they came out June 4th or something, like a week ago or something.
I thought this was still months away.
Nope.
Okay.
This one has a really interesting caveat. In Japan, a Switch 2 costs $345.
Okay.
In the States, it costs $450. That's a 30% increase if you buy the Switch 2 in the USA.
Wow.
Now,
do you want to go into the Japanese version and multi-language version?
The region.
scalpers are always a problem when it comes to electronics. And they feared in Japan that people from the US would be coming to Japan on trips, buying as many Switches as they can, bringing them back to the USA and selling them. People are already doing that with the USA ones that people are buying for $450. They're selling them for $500, $550, something like that. So they wanted to preempt that. And so they did a weird little thing that some people are complaining about, but I think is completely fine, is they're selling the Switch in Japan as a Japan-only version. It's locked to the Japanese language,
Right.
which sounds a little bit mean, but it prevents the Japanese market from being sucked dry for the other markets around the world. If they didn't have something like this, nobody in Japan would be able to get a Switch.
Right.
Everybody would be buying the one in Japan and then selling it for,
Yeah.
so much more profits.
Yeah.
And that would be very bad PR for the Japanese people who want to buy a Switch.
Or they would have to jack the price up here, and then they would get local scalpers.
That's kind of what they did. Actually, they do sell an English version in Japan for people who want to do English, but the price matches the US price.
Yeah.
So that they can't have scalpers.
Oh, it'd be interesting to see how much the or English version sells for here. Like if they
do have the price. It's
I'm sorry, I mean how popular.
47,000 yen?
47,000 yen.
No, the regular one is 45,000. The English only one is 75. So it's an extra $150.
That's a lot of money. Isn't that PS5 money?
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Good lord.
And then you don't even get to own the Switch. It's only a license.
Okay,
this is
that's not the topic of this show. I will say though, I suspect that there will be a time after the first rush of the Switch that the English one price will come down here in Japan, or not. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it might be a thing. It does seem expensive if you're not worried about scalpers. So, next one,
large McDonald's fries are almost $5.
They're like $2 here.
That's crazy.
Fries by themselves have always been a little expensive.
Yeah.
Though.
I mean, you can buy a bag of fries that you can take home and like either fry or put in the oven, and that's like $5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the case there too, I'm sure, but
someone said $32 for Subway. That's a Canadian person posting, so the Canadian dollar's not worth nearly as much as the US dollar.
But $32
I think that's Japan price though, because he said on the way to Narita we got a foot-long meal from Subway.
Yeah, for the airport version? Because like Subway here is relatively cheap. We go pretty commonly, and it's about 1,000 yen for a foot-long.
Yeah, for a foot-long, right?
Here. Sometimes a little bit less, so that's about $7 for a foot-long. Okay, milk.
Got milk?
You like milk, right? You always drink it in your little cup when we do the show.
Sure, but today's green tea.
Milk is interesting. In Canada, our milk is bloody expensive. It's like 3 times the price of the milk in the US.
Oh, yikes.
So I always thought that milk is going to be, because in the US they subsidize the milk big time, right? And so it becomes super cheap. It's like almost free.
Yeah.
It's actually cheaper here in Japan for milk.
Huh.
You ready for this? $1.17 for a liter of milk, or a quart. Actually, I did calculate this to quart, which is a little different from a liter. And $1.49 for a quart in New York. This is 27% more expensive in the US. Of course, it is New York prices, probably a bunch more expensive, but I thought that was interesting because in Canada, if you live near the border, it's pretty common to drive down to the States and buy your milk.
Wait, actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were kidding. I didn't know that was...
You get them in these big, like, 1 gallon jugs. They're huge. We don't even have 1 gallon jugs here. We don't even have 2 liter. We only have the quarts of milk here, right?
Wow. Yeah, no.
You go to Costco. And the big size is 2 1 liter packs that in a bag.
Yeah. Jeez.
In the States, sorry?
How does the quality compare? Because I always only got milk in the USA.
There's a big argument about it. The milk in Japan isn't required to be pasteurized, but in the States, in most of the states it is. Some of the states are like, we can do unpasteurized milk, and then people get sick and die. Like it's a thing there.
Yeah.
It's weird. But some people claim that the unpasteurized milk is purer or something like that. I don't know everything about it, but a lot of people are fighting about milk. I find the Japanese milk is excellent. In Canada, I think the milk is good, but I feel like the Japanese milk is a little bit better. But they have like 15 milk brands here, and in Canada, it's like there's milk,
right,
and then there's expensive milk,
right,
for like or hoity-toity milk. But like organic the regular milk is like one brand. It's like a cartel or something.
Milk cartel.
But I think the milk here is pretty darn good.
I love it. That's why I drink so much of it.
You were saying it's watery in the States?
Yeah.
That's like 2%, right?
UK and the States too. All of the milk I had there is kind of watery.
How does the Japanese milk compare to the German milk?
I have not had Japanese milk.
The Cool Milk Podcast.
The cool... Can we?
No, I don't drink milk anymore. So, I don't know.
Okay, who's taking a trip to Japan? Not me, because I live here. But if you are taking a trip, these are some things you might be interested in.
Yeah.
Number 1. This blew my mind. An average price of a hotel in Tokyo. $114 a night for one person. The average price for the same thing in New York, $417. That is a 266% increase in the price.
So, is this a 5-star hotel?
No. This is the average price, so it'll be, I guess, average. A 3-star.
Okay, so just average prices. Well, that would be the average of the range, right?
And I think it's because Airbnb has caused a kerfuffle. I think this is why. Airbnb undercut the hotels for so long that a lot of hotels went out of business. The pandemic came, a lot of hotels also went out of business, and those who survived now need to make up that money. Of course, the same thing happens in Japan, but in Japan, I don't think that it hit in the same way, or I don't think that the Japanese, I feel like businesses in Japan don't need to get so much money as they do in the States. I think that there's this huge desire to make tons and tons of money in the US. And I feel like in Japan, it's more like, we own a hotel. We make $100,000 a year and we're happy with that. The same hotel owner in the States is like not happy unless they make $300,000 a year or something like that. So I don't know. This is economics. It's outside of my purview.
I would also say for apples with apples, I think the average hotel room in Japan would be a lot smaller. Like if this includes a whole bunch of business hotels, those are dirt cheap.
Yeah, the hotels that the drunk people stay at after they miss the last train. Yeah, they're like a capsule.
Yeah,
the one hotel I stayed in New York was exactly the same size as the Japan hotel.
I was gonna ask, with New York being such a big city, maybe they have to have these small rooms that are more affordable. So
I think there's something to say about the drunk hotel room though. Like here in Japan, trains only go until 11 o'clock at night, right? Many people who want to stay out drinking later than that will either catch the first train home at 5:30 in the morning, which is really stupid, or they'll find a quick hotel. There's a huge market for businessmen who go out drinking after work, hit the hotel, come home in the morning. And I feel like in North America, they're just drunk driving home all the time.
Maybe. But how about in New York?
But trains go pretty late there, do they not?
I don't know. If anybody knows what time the trains run till in New York, that would be interesting.
Might be 24 hours.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
Although, I don't know. I hear New York subway being pretty dangerous, so. Oh, Uber, right. Yeah, Greg mentioned that there's Uber. So.
But Uber is it's cheaper than taxis here in Japan, but not by a whole bunch, maybe 30% cheaper or something.
I don't know if it's like in New Zealand, but like in New Zealand, if you went out drinking in the city, the public transport in New Zealand sucks. So, you have to taxi home. But we would...
Drunk drive.
No. If we were to get a taxi, then we would get a taxi for 8 people or something, and then all go back to one place, and then either just crash at a friend's house or something, or maybe spread off and go home if you...
That sounds like a young person's thing to do, though. Once you have kids and wife and stuff like that, that doesn't seem like the thing that would happen.
Doing that.
And the salarymen love, you know...
Well, I don't know. There's a pretty popular option in Japan. It's called passing out on a bench until morning.
Or on a curb.
Yeah.
Shibuya meltdown.
Yeah. Or on the train. You see that every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to say it, but I don't know. Okay, the people that vomit on the trains. Yeah, I don't have a filter that works so good. So if you get on the last train in Japan from like a popular drinking area, it's not uncommon to see somebody who's completely wasted and they will throw up on the train. And then when the train accelerates, the throw up runs down the train, and then everybody who's sitting nearby will suddenly notice it and be like, and then
pick up their feet.
Yeah. They'll usually stand up and move. So you'll see like this one guy like curled up in a corner of a train with like this pool of vomit, and then it's run down the train, and that whole side of the train has then all moved, and then
yeah, for sure. I have seen that on multiple times.
I'm very sorry if anyone's eating dinner, but I had to get that out.
And then when the brakes hit on the train, it comes back.
Right. Yeah, that happens.
Okay, a typical meal in Japan at a restaurant. This one was a little bit harder to.
A typical meal. One that ends up on the train later at night.
You don't have to pay for those ones.
Yeah.
This is a little bit harder to actually get because restaurant qualities vary a lot. You can get really cheap restaurants. You can get very expensive restaurants. I tried to pick one that was about what you would typically pay for a Tokyo restaurant that was not considered fancy and not considered crap. Okay? So the US price for that would be $8.97 is in Japan.
So $9.
So $9 for lunch. And the same thing in New York might be about $15.
That seems a bit cheap for New York, but
yeah,
maybe
also,
it's possible. I don't know.
I crammed to get all of this in time for the show, so it might be completely wrong.
FYI.
The information we're giving you right now might be wrong.
It's a rough estimate. And I have to say that not everything is cheaper in Japan. We'll go over some things that are more expensive soon.
Right. So that's a 67% increase. Disneyland, this one shocked me how expensive the Disneyland is in North America. So I picked the cheapest of the cheap Disneyland tickets. I realized that there are tiers for it, but I picked an adult full day at Disneyland with no extras added on, like going to the rides faster or whatnot.
Which Disneyland? Do you remember?
Tokyo Disneyland. And then for this one, I just picked the Los Angeles Disneyland.
Okay. Cool.
The main park, not one of those affiliated parks or whatever.
Yeah.
In Japan, Disneyland is $54.52, and in North America, $126. These are the base prices.
Yeah.
The Japanese base price only goes up another $20 or so, whereas the American one more than doubles, almost triples, into the $300s or $200s of dollars.
Jeez.
It is insane.
Yeah.
And so just the base price, $131. That's less than half the price to go to Disneyland here. And I will have you know that the Disneyland in Japan is the most profitable of every Disneyland in the world, despite having tickets that are half the price.
Because I hear lines are long in the USA too, but lines in Japan seem crazy. Like, especially recently, I've heard people are queuing for hours to even get in. Yeah. But they're still profitable.
We only go to Disney. Like, we can drive from here to Disneyland in 40 minutes. So sometimes we go after work because you can go there for 4 hours and it's really cheap. Right? And it's like, if you do it on a Wednesday or something, it can be pretty free. Yeah. We've done it we've done it once, but we intend to do it frequently. Insane.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if they have night passes and stuff in the USA, or if you get roped into.
Do they have a season pass?
I think that they do, but I think the season pass is pretty cheap. But also, then you have to go to Disneyland all the time, and Disneyland, like, I think it's good if you go once a year or something. Anything more than that is just like, what am I doing?
Oh, we're getting some fantastic recommendations in the chat. PCA work trip to Disneyland? Yes, please.
Oh.
Who can we talk to make that happen? Derek Weldon.
Oh, wait a second. I got their numbers wrong. It's actually 3 times the price.
We're doing US prices. Pay your own way.
A drink at a vending machine. And I went with a 16.9 ounce bottle. Here in Japan, we call that a 500 milliliter bottle. And that is, in Japan, about $1.10. And in the USA, $2.75. Or in New York.
Again, that seems very expensive for a vending machine.
They were $4 in Canada when I went back there.
Oh my God.
Not US dollars.
Same with Germany. Vending machines game is not strong, so it's expensive to put stuff in.
Chips and soda, I think that they got them by the short and curlies. Like, people love chips and love soda, and they're like an addiction level food in North America. So they're so expensive after COVID.
What the heck?
Yeah. Vending machines for $4. I was like, oh. The first one I saw was at the airport. It was $4.75. And I was like, whoa, airport prices.
Yeah.
And of course, the airports here are more expensive as well. But
yeah, but by like what is it? 10%?
Yeah.
20%
15 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the regular vending machines there were $4 or $4.25 or $3.75 or something like that. And I was like, why? Why are you doing this?
Just completely different culture, I guess.
There are way more vending machines here than there are in North America too, though. So like the expectation of prices at a vending machine here are the normal price. It's the same price as you get them for at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Whereas in North America, it might be like a less established market.
Yeah.
More like paying higher for convenience.
Yeah.
It isn't
true.
an apples to apples relationship here still. But my God.
I never use vending machines before coming here because they're a ripoff. I would just be like, I'd go into a store. I don't need that level of convenience. But here you're like, oh, why not?
It's also so freeing. In Germany, if I go out, I always have a water bottle with me.
Yeah.
And here it's like, hey, I can buy whatever drink I want, not paying much more than I would in a supermarket.
Yeah.
It's really
compared to a supermarket, it's still about 30 or 40% more, sometimes 50% more. But compared to a convenience store, is like a 7-Eleven, it's the same price.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one, and this one trapped me.
It's close to home, doesn't it?
I went to Seattle. Last time I was in Canada, I deked down to Seattle to go to the Space Needle. My son loves towers, and so we were trying to get a little statue of every tower that we went to. We've done a bunch of towers in Japan, and we have done Tokyo Skytree, which is, I guess, the Japanese version of the Space Needle, but way, way, way more expensive and taller than the Seattle one. Like, to build it would have been 5 times the cost. Because they built the Seattle one in the 60s, and, like, back then there was no safety standards, and people died by falling. Like, it's weird. They got plaques for them, so when you go inside, you're like, oh... Well, that sucks.
Enjoy your trip, but just so as you know, people did die so that you could
like lots of them too.
Oh no.
Yikes. And okay, so Tokyo Skytree, to go up to the top level, the most expensive of them, is $18.64. The Space Needle, $49 to go up there, and that's an increase in $163. Yeah. $49. Of course, if you live in Seattle, you get a discount if you live there. But nobody who lives there is going on the Space Needle. They're people who go on vacation, they were going on the Space Needle.
Yeah.
And there were barely any people going up it, too. I was like,
because of the price.
Right? Drop the price a little bit.
No, they're like, not many people come, so we have to jack the price up so we can get the people who come.
And and because it's older, it's a little bit run down compared to the very modern-looking Skytree. And, Oh,
we got Fraser Valley Import saying vending machines wouldn't even survive. Which is true. In New Zealand, too, they would just get trashed.
Too many homeless people that would destroy them.
Yeah. In New Zealand, it would be drunk people on a night out and be like, oh, I'm going to get a soda. Oh, it stole my money. Tip it over.
So the German vending machines in the train stations, they look like mini prisons. Like bolted down, all metal.
Yeah.
So that's all the vacation things I could think of. And now a list of things that are more expensive in Japan than they are in North America. And plenty of these things exist. And so the first one, gasoline. Gasoline in the States is almost free. People can like drink it. It's cheaper than alcohol. I'm not even kidding. People do that.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot of people do it, but it is.
They don't do it for long either.
It is 25% more expensive in Japan. $4.20 for a gallon compared to $3.13 for a gallon in New York. It does get cheaper in Texas and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't really get cheaper in rural Japan. It's pretty much the same price.
More expensive sometimes.
Yeah. I think so too.
Which is contrary to what I'm used to.
Rice. This one might blow your mind, but rice in Japan. This is for a 20-pound bag. $48 for a 20-pound bag, or $12 in the US. That is 75% more expensive in Japan for the same size of a bag.
Yeah.
Even though everything in the States is more expensive, rice is expensive here. It has to do with protecting the farmers, and there is some issue with price fixing, and that's become a problem because the price of rice has increased to about 50% here in Japan in the last 5 years. And people are not happy about that because that's a staple. Almost every meal here in Japan is made with rice.
Yeah.
I make rice every single morning. We don't know what we're going to have for dinner, but we'll definitely have rice with it. It's just how meals are here.
Yeah.
Then this one hits close to home, a Stussy branded t-shirt. I have a story, but I won't tell it because Max is going to point at the clock if I do. But a Stussy branded t-shirt is $64.18 in Japan and $45 in the US. So in Japan, Stussy is 53% more expensive. Sorry, 30% more expensive. TVs are more expensive here by 16%. I picked an LG C4 65-inch, and it's 16% more expensive. Pizza.
That's what we expected.
Pizza's a big one here. I used to work at a pizza shop. The pizza here is average quality at best and way more expensive. 2 large pizzas, which is the same size as 2 medium pizzas in North America, $39.75, or in the US, $25. It's a 37% increase in the cost.
Does this include the Domino's 50% discount?
No, this is if you get it delivered. This is no coupons, no anything. So I figure that you can get it cheaper in both Japan and North America if you pick coupons.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
special deals or something.
Find out what are the deals while getting these numbers. And then cheese, 62% more expensive in Japan for your regular cheddar cheese, not the specialty cheeses, which are very, very expensive here.
And hard to find too.
Like 5 times the price here if you're looking for something unique.
Japan, no do cheese no so good.
No.
Honey
no so
too.
Good.
Honey is super expensive.
Maple syrup too, 5 times the price.
Yeah. Whereas in Canada, it's free. You just go to one tree next to you, and you automatically
squeeze the tree.
Yeah.
Everyone in Canada has a maple tree. They're given it when they're born. It's like a
No, people in New Zealand, you just eat bees, right?
No. But yeah. Do you have a picture from ChatGPT for cheese? Did it finish?
I think it's
Mike.
stuck. It's still processing.
Time.
I know, but
You
this
know how
would have been
fast
really
I blazed
funny.
through that last section?
Yeah, it was impressive.
I asked ChatGPT to create cheeses.
Did you get a picture?
Nah.
Hey, this isn't the ChatGPT
We broke
podcast.
ChatGPT.
On we
Anyway,
go.
Salary. That's the big thing, and kind of ties this whole thing together.
So, who wants to come to Japan, live their JDM life, and start working here? Well, if you want to do that, you're going to take a haircut off of how much that you are going to get paid in pretty much any first world country. Japan is probably the lowest salary of all countries that have an economy as strong or even remotely close to as strong as Japan.
Yeah.
Salaries here are abysmal. And that when you compare to the US, which has absurdly high salaries compared to the rest of the world, it is crazy. I got the median, not the average, but the median household income, because that's more accurate. And this is the household income, so this includes one parent working and whatever the secondary parent is doing. So in Japan, this is often going to be dad is working and wife has a part-time job. Whereas in North America, it might be a little bit different because it's probably more likely to have 2 full-time jobs, but I regress. The median household salary in Japan is $36,575. That's below minimum wage, I believe, in much of USA.
I think so. You could work at McDonald's in the USA and earn more, I believe.
And in USA, the median household income, and this blew my mind, $80,610 US dollars.
That's impressive.
That's
honestly.
119% more than twice the amount of money when you convert to the same currency.
Yeah.
And so all of these things that are more expensive in North America are actually less expensive as a proportion of the amount of money that you make.
Yep.
Switch. It's hard.
Yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2 might be 30% more expensive, but you're earning 120% more money.
Right. And so I don't
sound so bad.
I see on the internet a lot of people in the USA complaining about the amount of money that they make because compared to other people, they're not making very much because the US has a very big difference between the rich and the poor people. Yeah. Japan has a very narrow difference between the rich and the poor people comparative to the USA. It is a world of difference. And so when I hear the poor people in the States complaining about how much that they have, they are getting a lot more excesses than what we get in Japan. It's just that they compare themselves to everyone around them who has a lot more money than they have. Yeah. And so it's a really weird dynamic there where they're like, oh, I don't have very much money. And yet I smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. I drink alcohol
but we're not going to get into that.
Right? I go to Disneyland at $150 per ticket. It's weird though, right?
Yeah. But there are differences from state to state too. Like I often compare what I know living in New Zealand to living in Japan, and there's a massive difference there. Like houses in New Zealand are $1 million, where in Japan $1 million house is nicer comparatively. But then if you ask Grant, who's from Kentucky, prices suddenly seem more expensive in Japan because what he's used to in Kentucky is much more reasonable. Plus the salary is also better over there, so it makes
And
more
if you
sense.
buy a house in North America, when it comes time to sell it, it's worth more.
Right.
And here, when you buy a house and you sell it, it's worth less. There is no investment in houses.
Yeah.
I mean, I said that too abruptly. That's not completely true. People
Right,
can
land
invest in
value.
real estate here, but the profits for real estate are well lower, and the popularity of investing in real estate is much different.
Yeah.
People are targeting specific areas in Tokyo for expats and stuff like that to try to make money, instead of just buy a house and be guaranteed at least a certain amount of profits from owning the fact that you owned a house.
I have to highlight a very nice comment. You were saying like, oh, they go to Disneyland at twice the price, or they waste all their money buying 25-year-old Japanese cars.
Yeah, that's why the prices turned absurd, right?
yeah,
because
true.
the amount you can buy with a strong US dollar is
Yeah.
it's just so much more than many of the other countries. So sorry, Europe.
Yeah.
Do you guys know any reputable exporter from Japan that people can buy cars from?
Nope. No, I'm just kidding. That was funny though.
I got in trouble once
guys?
for doing that kind of joke at a job that I had.
Oh,
It was a sales job, and someone came in and she's like, why don't you tell me why you're better than the competition? And she was acting snooty, so I was going to throw her a curveball, and I was like, I don't know. And then when she had like a stupid look on her face, I'd be like, haha, just kidding. But then she just turned around and walked away, and then wrote a letter to my manager saying, this idiot employee doesn't know. But it's
you're like, whoa, that joke backfired.
I think about that way more often than I should.
Maybe I need to have that kind of experience. Please don't write a letter to Derek Weldon saying that my joke on the Pacific Coast JDM podcast was not good.
Next segment.
Pacific Coast Auto will help you buy a car that is 25 years old. You will not be wasting money. It is an investment. That's how I justify my purchases to myself.
Hey, a Type R is going up in price.
I hope so. My BMW sure didn't. I took a big. Someone said earlier in the comments said buy high, sell low. That's exactly what I did for the BMW. I lost a ton of money, and there's an open claim on it, so I might even get it back.
They haven't said anything about the claim in over a week.
No, they did just yesterday. They said they're going to send pictures. So the claim, they've claimed that it has an aftermarket exhaust, and we put M Sports exhaust on the sheet, which is true. The back muffler is M Sports. I didn't know it had an aftermarket exhaust. So now there's a claim, and they're probably going to want money back. But I think, screw them. I'll just take the car back. And
is that what you intend to do?
I don't
if they want
know,
claim?
but I don't want to give them free
Call
money.
their bluff?
Yeah.
Yeah, they deserve to have their bluff called.
Yeah, I'd rather pay all of the costs and everything like that just to give them the big middle finger, because I think it's a dodgy thing.
And then we can talk about it on the Cool JDM show.
Sure. Yeah, so the BMW saga continues. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, we're running out of time. Max, what should we do?
Do we want to look at cars?
Do you guys want to look at cars, or would you like us to dive straight into the Q&A? While you decide, I'm going to check something. Grant, did you win a car? 23 cars away from Grant's bid, so we need to buy some time. The show will go a little bit over.
Okay,
But
so
you guys are worth it.
I don't have time to ask for reverb here, so the auction and dealer picks. Our first one here. Grant,
it's a cool one.
Grant picked this, and he wrote a lot of notes, and I want to make sure that we say all of the notes. So I'm just going to read the notes that Grant wrote on it.
Okay.
I will say, and this is a little bit of an inside baseball thing, so if you're watching the show, this is the kind of information you're only going to get when you watch our show. We bought one of these as a race car for all of our lesser developed staff to go racing in.
Yes.
This is like a practice car or a tune your skills before you get into a faster car. These are cool. The one that we bought is extremely cool.
Yep.
It has 2 spoilers on it that are insanely big. And one of the spoilers is a homologation spoiler for racing. It is effective.
Ooh.
Yeah, they did a
spoiler.
special cup of these cars here in Japan. It was spec racing. And they all had those spoilers on them.
You've
Okay.
probably seen it in the background of some videos. It is blue and very awesome.
This is a 2005 Nissan March 12 SR, the weirdest and arguably most improved of Japan's warm hatchback city runabouts. Worked over by Autech, the 12 SR gets model-specific suspension, Calsonic exhaust, larger header, and a catalytic converter from the bigger 1.4-liter CR14DE engine version of it. 15-inch alloy wheels with Bridgestone RE01RS. That's a 200 treadwear tire, I believe.
Wow.
I might be wrong about that. It could be a 300. A 1.2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder was worked over as well, getting high lift camshafts, reinforced valve springs, special high compression pistons, and a lightweight flywheel. Uniquely tuned ECU puts out 108 horsepower. 108 horsepower from a 1.2 is quite decent.
Yeah. At 6,900
RPM.
That's decent too.
The car weighs 910 kilograms, and by comparison, my Fit, which is actually Grant's Fit, but this is Grant writing it. My Fit makes 118 horsepower from a 1.5 liter and weighs 1,060 kilograms. There you go. The 12 SR.
Our one is much cooler.
Yeah. Ours has wide fenders on it.
Yeah.
Ours is the Impulse version of this.
Yeah.
So it has even more power,
more
I think.
specialer.
Hold on.
Even more
Grant, does our March have more power than... Because it's the Impulse version.
Not because more horsepower.
2 more horsepower because ours is the facelifted version, but the Impulse version didn't get more power.
Okay.
Idiots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there it is. These are cheap. That's why we bought them for our staff, because we don't want to spend too much money on our employees. Racing is expensive.
Yeah.
And this
it
is a 2004, so okay for Canada customers, right?
Thank you for tying that into the whole reason why we do this show, to drive sales.
Next car?
Buy cars.
The next car.
Get rid of us.
We had somebody say, why don't you talk about some newer cars? Well, for one, I kind of decide a lot of these cars, and I like classic cars, so that's part of the reason. But we decided to bend the knee, and here you have
I haven't heard that in so long, but I love it. Oh, I quite like these.
RCF. This is the 5-liter V8. How much power are these? 400 horsepower, right?
Something like that.
400 horsepower rear-wheel drives Grand Tourer. This really is where the Supra should have come from instead of BMW. They had all the architecture with the rear-wheel drive and a nice engine, and they could have very much made this the Supra.
Can you imagine if the Supra was more ISF-esque? Like, this was the evolution of the ISF, and if they had a Supra that was, I don't know what direction they would have taken it, but
in my dreams, they would use the entire car and then make an inline 6-cylinder twin turbo engine.
Oh.
The problem with that is you can't put an inline 6-cylinder into most of Toyota's cars now. I don't think there are any that have an inline 6-cylinder anymore, other than the Supra, which is basically a BMW, right?
Yeah. Food for thought. I think this is a special model. I forget what it's called, but it's like
the Nürburgring edition.
Is it?
I don't know.
They have
but just
this
go with
orange
it.
paint, and the interior is part of.
They do come in some crazy colors, though.
Yeah.
Just the regular ones. The RCF is 467 horsepower. Thank you, Grant. 5-liter V8. Gets a huge fat torque band. You get max torque between 4,800 to 5,600. Comes with Brembo brakes, BBS wheels. This one, I don't think they are BBS, but I don't know. And did I mention it's orange? They sell for $3 million to $4.5 million at auction, which seems like a heck of a deal. I think a car like this, you get a lot for your money, and they're a very good car for those who don't care about driving too much.
I maintain that used Lexus make for fantastic, I think in most cases, daily driver purchases. You get an enormous amount of comfort, and you get the reliability, and usually for some reason used Lexuses just fall off the face of the planet in terms of cost when they get old enough.
Honestly, I think that they don't compared to an AMG or a BMW M car.
Oh, true. But the starting point for those is much higher, and then like cheap to buy but expensive to own, as opposed to a Lexus being.
The Lexus is because of the reliability, especially in Japan.
Yeah.
People are like, well, the Lexus isn't going to break until it's 10 years old, compared to the BMW that like maybe
Breaks
5 years
immediately.
old is when you
sorry.
have to start worrying about stuff breaking. So there's that. You guys can buy it.
Oh, you've got an
Actually buy
LC500
it?
friend. Derek also likes the LC500.
Yeah, the LC500 is a car that I would want to own.
Yeah.
It is beautiful, and I'm not really at this point in my life interested in a Grand Tourer, but I love the styling of it. I love the engine. I love the attention to detail, and I
Yeah.
love the high quality feeling of it. It
Yeah.
really is well above the competition, in my opinion, and it's not more expensive than it.
Yeah.
The only thing I might compare that to potentially would be like a Panamera or so, which I think would probably be really good. I haven't driven either of them. I have poked around in an LC.
We've had Panameras from time to time, but
Panameras are good.
mostly the older ones, right?
They're all over Japan, so they're not that
Yeah.
special looking.
They're also huge.
Yeah,
Yes.
I considered a Panamera.
they are well bigger than the LC500.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, some dealer picks. I picked this one because I think it's funny that you can buy yourself a taxi.
Not at that price. That is
Right.
absurd. They want 4 million yen for this.
Yeah, so we were talking about that. I think that you pay more for them because you can't buy them used.
Yeah. There's some
And
kind of
I think that might have something to do with tax incentives, so right off the
Yeah.
price.
yeah.
I think it's funny because if someone's like, hey, what car do you drive? You can say, a taxi. Because the actual name of this car is JPN Taxi.
Oh.
Japan Taxi.
I've seen the badges on them, but I always thought that they like put them on there for like they could be identified. But
It's
Yeah.
the actual name
that's
of
the name
car.
of the
Yeah.
car.
Toyota sells a Japan Taxi.
Japan Taxi.
But in Japanese, they call it Japan Taxi.
Right.
And
No interior pictures, by the way.
I would love to know how, like, it's got to be something weird, because I agree with you. They're probably very cheap to buy and operate. They're
so
designed
they're based
for
off of the
taxis.
Sienta, and the Sienta is a 2 million yen car when it's brand new.
I don't know. Maybe someone's doing some funny business with this or something. Trying
Who
to cash
knows?
in.
Funky.
So the Japan Taxi was commissioned by the Japanese government. They set some outlines of what they wanted to have for taxis in Japan before the 2020 Olympics. So these came out in like 2019 or something, so that they would fill the road for the Olympics. So
The
that,
Olympics,
you know,
yeah.
they wanted a car that had certain emissions targets, certain accessibility targets, and certain luggage targets. And then they sent this out to all the car makers. And then if you meet these requirements, then you get lower taxes for the car. They wanted to modernize the fleet of taxis, because if you know what Japanese taxis looked like before this, they look like cars from the 1990s.
Yeah, Crown Comfort.
Can we pull up a Crown Comfort like the Japanese taxi? And I think that the Japanese government thought that was kind of embarrassing that all of the taxis would be such old looking cars.
Yeah.
And so they're like, come on, guys. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so cool though.
This one here,
Oh yeah.
The white one?
the
Yeah.
white one with the bumper, those I think are supercharged.
They're also super expensive and very rare. How many did they make? Like 200 or something, didn't they?
Not even that.
They made 30.
Okay.
Grant, I love how Grant
Imagine
just
a
knows
taxi
this.
driver would have the supercharged version.
Oh. They look even cooler. Oh man, I would love for someone to do a body kit. We've sold some taxis too.
And so far, only Toyota has met the requirements for the taxi system, the new taxi.
Yeah.
I think other car manufacturers just like, oh, Toyota's doing it. We can't compete against the amount
Yeah.
of money that they have
Yeah.
for this. They are everywhere. They haven't replaced all of the old school style taxis yet, but you see a lot of these. You also see a lot of Alfards as taxis.
Yeah.
And they got
And some Lexus
sliding
too.
doors
Oh, no,
on the
Crown.
sides, styling out after the UK taxis of the 60s. They're made to look like the old
Yeah.
UK taxis. Yeah, you can buy one if you want to well overspend for it. The price, I have no idea.
No, please
whether
don't buy
asking
this.
for
It makes me
4
feel
million yen.
awful seeing that's how much they
You
want
would
for
probably
this.
have the only one in your country.
Yeah, but no, I just hope we could get one cheaper somewhere. Haven't seen
You
them
might
come
be
through
able to.
auction.
I actually didn't check
Yeah.
Next car.
too much. The next car is, well, it's a classic car.
Ooh.
Who picked this one? this guy. This is a 45 horsepower Toyota's first sports car. It's based off of the Toyota Publica, which was, I guess, in the era their Corolla. Basically, it was a no frills sedan / coupe. Has a air cooled. This is cool. Air cooled 2-cylinder boxer engine from Toyota.
Cool. 2
air filters you can see there on the top of the engine that you used to be able to see, but you can't see it anymore. And I'm wondering if I keep talking, then we'll go back to the engine.
Oh no, I'm not going back to the engine.
I got a mouse here, Max. You better watch it.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go through.
Ooh.
Hey,
what are you gonna do now?
Where's my mouse gone? Wait a second. Now I need to reset this. And
See, look at the
here's the engine.
So for each cylinder, it has a single 1-barrel carb. So 2 carburetors, 1 per cylinder.
Yeah.
So people like the twin turbos for a 6-cylinder. That's 1 turbo per 3 cylinders, right?
Yeah.
1 carb per cylinder, 45 horsepower, has a very unique sound. We have sold a Publica pickup truck once. No, a Publica sedan we've sold, and a pickup truck. They sound very, very unique. Air-cooled
like the
2-cylinder.
What was the Bellet?
Bellet was a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder twin cam.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know
very
what they
cool
sound like.
cars, and these sports 800s are fairly easy to come across. You got to pay good money, but they were considered a classic car before they got too old that they're not on the road anymore. So you'll see like cars like this, you can still find. Any like normal run-of-the-mill car from this generation, much harder to find because people didn't care to keep them on the road.
Yeah.
So these are generally not too hard to find. Hayashi Racing wheels on there. Little 12-inch wheels. Kind of cute.
Yeah. I think the front looks funny.
Yeah, they're
Isn't
dumb looking.
there a Miata kit that looks like this?
Oh, there is. I saw
yeah.
one just the other day, and
I think there is.
I didn't know if it was Porsche or this, but
They are old enough that you have to worry about how good the rust repairs were, because almost certainly there will be rust repairs on something like this. Which auction was it at? Let's pull it up on the screen.
we have a live update for you. This just happened. This just in. Grant's bid has finished.
It happened right in the time that we're supposed to talk about auction picks. So this can be one of our auction picks. We can talk about the car that Grant was going to bid on.
Let's do it.
Is it auctions dot?
Auction, I think. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So what do you want to search?
What was the lot number?
90350.
Coming right now, live on your screen. The car that
I haven't seen this yet, actually.
This is the car Grant was bidding on, and he lost.
Unfortunately, Grant lost by 6,000 yen. That's what, like 40 bucks. Yeah. 40 bucks. So you were second? So Grant was outbid. He was the second highest bidder, which happens.
How much did you bid on this one? 120,000 yen, so 800 bucks.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's because Grant wants to spend all of his money on upgrades.
Yeah.
And mods.
That's so crazy how cheap these are.
Yeah.
Manual transmission as well.
Yeah.
This one's the 5-speed, right, Grant?
Yeah.
So you can get the reason why these ones are so cheap is because they have newer versions that for a performance hot hatch buyer are the upgrades that they want. You can get them later with 6-speed manuals and with more power, and eventually they became turbocharged. But these kind of first generation of this era, the Suzuki Swift has the older versions of them too, but
most people classify this as kind of like the start, right?
Yeah, of the modern
when
Swifts.
they became popular.
They
and racing
are
pedigree.
kind of the go-to race car for people who want to get into racing at the cheap level. This or K cars.
Yeah.
And very, very good engine in them. Grant had a chance to drive one, and I think that's why he wants to have it. They're about the same price as Fits, right, Grant? A little bit cheaper than a Honda Fit.
Yeah. A little bit older.
North America got Suzuki Swift as well, but people didn't like them very much, even though they were pretty good cars. People made fun of them because it was the era of we hate Japanese cars mostly.
Right. Also, not as suited to U.S. conditions.
And the Civic was just a better car all around.
Yeah. But there's another car that Grant's going to bid on this week, I hope. It's got cool decals.
Oh, a yellow one?
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh.
We'll have an update on that next show if Grant has a new car.
Well, since I talked about pointing at the clock, Max only mentioned it twice throughout the episode, which is probably why we are about 15 minutes delayed in getting into a Q&A. And so I'd like to offer a full-hearted apology to you, Max. I'm very sorry. You were right. We were talking too long, and I'm sorry. Next.
YouTube apology video from Derek Weldon. Do people still do those?
They cry on the bathroom floor, and they get all the views, and there's always
Max
something.
alone.
Yeah.
He's just trying to keep the show
Wait,
on
what's
track.
that? Can't catch a break.
Can't catch a break.
Questions and answers. We have one question that somebody in the comments section wrote into us. So if you are watching
Q&A. Okay.
Excellent.
There we go.
Reverb is here.
Max,
Do you guys actually like the
Yes.
reverb? We think it's really funny, but
we also don't get to hear it, so we don't know
Yeah.
how funny it
I
is.
have no idea what it sounds like.
Yeah.
There was one question from last.
Blazing Dragon. You have
So
to
keep
say it
in
like
mind that if you're watching this in the future, most of the viewers are watching in the future, not during a live. So if you do have questions, put them in the comments. We do pull from those for the question section in the next cast.
But if you're live here, just put them in the chat right now.
and you will get a live answer to your
We'll
live
do quick
question.
fire today, I think.
Yes.
To not go overtime because we're running low on battery.
Oh yeah, if the show abruptly ends, battery cut out.
Audio will still be there.
Oh, big fan of the reverb. Love that.
Nice. So Blazing Dragon asked, how often do you see an St205 GT-Four in good condition? Also, how rare are the WRC editions?
Oh, I believe.
I think they made 500 WR. No, Grant. How many WRC ST205s? I think it's 5,000.
5,000?
Yeah.
500.
No, I
5,000.
think it's 5,000 of them.
Oh,
I think that was the Group A requirement.
Wow, that's a lot.
Grant, can you look that up? I know you're trying to work right now, but I want to know how many they made. The WRC version of the ST205.
It's Alicia.
How many were made?
We
Okay,
don't
so
see those
the
very
WRC version was only very slightly different. It was the homologation version, so it had some differences so that they could go racing in the car. Things like a cooler for the timing belt was one of the differences. It has a slightly different hood on it. It is lighter weight. Certain things like that. I think maybe different gear ratios or turbos or something like that. I used to know. 2,500
Okay.
made.
Oh.
They're not that rare, but remember, these versions were the ones that people wanted to go racing in, so it's harder to find them going forward. People will pay a little bit more for them.
I don't feel like I've seen many recently.
We've sold a number of them.
A few?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
For the regular ST205 Celica, which is the final version of the GT-Four 4-wheel drive 2-liter turbo Celica, they're getting a little bit old now. And with all old cars, they get harder to find in good condition. So that means that your top end price is starting to get really high if it's a really good condition one. And then the lower end ones, they can be a little rough. So you can pay kind of lower prices, but then you're paying more than that back to get it into a good condition anyway.
Yeah.
Not too hard to buy. We're still selling them fairly frequently. Prices?
I feel like $1 million to $2 million for the most part. Maybe higher
that's
than
fair.
$2 million.
I'd say if you're at $1 million, you're getting a pretty weak condition one. And I
Yeah.
feel like they're a car that's complicated enough that you want to get a higher grade one.
Yeah.
Like they have weird suspension in them. They've got the 4-wheel drive system. They're a race car.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a little bit more finicky than a normal car.
Maybe like 1.2 to 2.5 or something.
I saw
How
you
many-
smile when you were pointing toward the clock, Max. Like, now I've got
to go to the
permission.
next question.
I'm saying things that people are interested in.
Yeah. I think they're common enough to buy though. So if you are looking for one, you can always send us an email. We'll give you more in-depth info than we can give you here on the show, which is just a little quick fire.
Hit me with a question, Max.
Quick fire.
Hey, Max, look at the clock.
Don't do it. Don't bully Max.
Max, come on.
HR.
Quickly.
Do you guys think the 25-year rule will change anytime soon?
Never.
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 It's to protect the US market.
Okay, next question. Dark Corsair is asking me, interestingly enough, have I ever driven...
Of course he picked this.
This would have been the best
I'm
question.
just
Just
going-
point
I'm
to the
just
clock.
Did I ever drive any other car without power steering? I guess that's because of the Lotus video. Oh, he added, I'm asking because I never thought about the feedback that you get in comparison to the power steering car. For example, I learned how to drive in a car that had no power steering. I had a Suzuki Cappuccino that had no power steering. But the Lotus felt way more responsive than the Cappuccino.
Yeah.
We forgot about the update about the Cappuccino.
The update about the Cappuccino? We can talk
next
about
week.
We can talk about that next time.
We're going to skip this.
Yeah.
Next question. That was my answer. I had a Cappuccino.
I got to say something about the power steering thing too.
Yeah.
Many of the older cars without power steering have reciprocating ball steering or sidearm steering. Both of those don't give you a good steering feel. Most of the power steering is rack and pinion, which gives you a more precise feeling. Most of the cars without power steering are older, and the chassis dynamics as well aren't up to the same specs as a modern car is. So for the most part, power steering will give you a better steering feel. This is make and model specific. Also, power steering usually has a slower ratio of steering. Take a Miata, for example. You can get these with or without power steering. Same with the AE86. The ones without power steering, you have to turn around more to get the same amount of steering than you do with the one with power steering, which sucks for sporty driving. For sporting driving, you want a quicker steering ratio. So for the most part, most cars, you want the one with power steering, is my opinion.
Next question.
I know they asked you, but...
No, that's fine.
You just had to get involved, huh?
You know me. I just can't shut the heck up.
What's your recommendation for a fun all-wheel drive car?
Subaru Impreza. WRX.
Yeah, fantastic recommendation.
If you want something year-round, Forester or Legacy are both good. When it's four-wheel drive, those are my favorites.
Okay. Why
If you
are
got the money,
AE8...
Evo.
Evo
I'm starting
wagon.
to oh yeah, wow.
The Evo 9 wagon. Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I missed out on those. They're so expensive now.
I know. They were 600,000 yen not too long ago.
We say this. We probably say that every week.
Why are
Get over it, Mike.
AE85s so hard to come across? Have they all rotted away by now?
AE85?
Yep.
All of the AE85s in Japan have had an engine swap to the AE86 engine. Every single one in Japan. They have long been popular in racing as well as drifting, but more popular in racing probably in the past. Nowadays in drifting, they just don't have enough power, and they're too expensive, and people don't drift in them so much anymore unless they're really going for style points.
Yeah.
But all of them have had the engine swapped, so they're basically 8.6s now.
Z-Wise is asking, what is a car with rear-wheel drive and a 2J that no one thinks about?
There's only two cars. Well, the Crown.
Progress?
Yeah.
Progress?
Progress.
Yeah.
Probably.
A video up on
Jita.
PCA's channel.
No, the Jita's
No, it is
Jita's 2J.
Automatic only. Automatic only for the 2J? Yeah.
Travel questions are okay too, not only car questions.
Anything you like. We are here and we're
Personal.
at your disposal. So
Personal
we will
questions.
answer. Personal questions encouraged,
Yes.
especially if they're for Derek Weldon.
Not too long because we need to wrap this
That's
up.
okay. We're doing rapid fire.
So,
One word answers.
there was one that I found really funny. What's your favorite 7-seater car and why is it the Land Cruiser?
Lifted Land Cruiser.
I will
specifically.
say, only the gasoline ones are 7-seater. The diesels, they're all 5-seaters. I don't know why Toyota did that, but every generation is the same, including the new 300 series.
Wow.
I want to
didn't
get
know
the
that.
diesel one and then put some seats in the back, but I don't know if they have the provisions to
Right.
accept the seats.
Yeah.
And then you
But
got a
yeah,
full
they were correct about that. The Land Cruiser is the answer. Except for if you're an idiot.
How about Alphard? Is Alphard 7-seaters?
8.
8.
We should, we mentioned about doing hot takes. Maybe we need to do like a video, like a long form video that's like 4 hours long, and we just talk about why you should lift your Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
And we
should
get Grant
force
in
Grant
the
to watch
middle
it.
and like make him participate.
We should tell him that there's like, instead of a staff meeting this week, we're going to be like telling you important work things in the live stream. And then we'll just do that whole video. But he doesn't know where the things are that he has to know. So he'll have to continue watching the entire show.
Through it.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex is asking, do we have any tips to traveling in Japan with a 1-year-old?
Oh.
I don't because
Depends on
Congratulations,
depends
though.
on your 1-year-old. Honestly, some of them are probably okay, but it is a very stressful thing for a family that's that young to be going on trip. You want to make your trip worthwhile for everybody in the family, and you're going to be spending so much of your time taking care of your kid. Yeah. Even when the kid's 3 years old, it's a huge difference. So I don't know, like maybe you are going to come at 1 year old and 3 years old or something, but if it were me, I'd probably delay the trip until they're 3. It's a whole bunch of a different experience with a 3-year-old than a 1-year-old.
I'm not a father, so the only thing I could think is like stroller's not going to do it. You got to have one of those backpacks. Probably already planning on doing that.
Baby Bjorn or Ergo are the 2 popular brand names for them.
Are you sponsored by Baby Bjorn or
Ergo?
Ergo?
Ergo it's ERGO. Ergo.
Oh, okay. There was like Ergo, and I was like, I don't.
Fantastic.
Grant pipes in saying the Ergos they are better. The Baby Bjorn sucks, but it was the OG.
Okay.
I think I said this last time. Maybe September is hot, so indoor play park.
Yeah. Oh, there's tons
for a 1-year-old
of cool play things, but
I don't know.
Yeah. I also think food might be a struggle. Like, I don't know how.
1-year-old is still drinking out of the bottle mostly.
Okay.
Or off of the human version of the bottle.
Okay.
Grant, do you have any ideas what to do with a 1-year-old?
Run.
I was gonna say my run. Like
some 1-year-olds are such cute little angels, and then some of them are terrors. There's a big difference between them. Like some require so much of your patience.
The biggest thing is be prepared for the.
Be prepared for the flight. Grant is saying.
Pass out candies to everyone on the flight before you get on, and say, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
No, Grant needs to watch bids right now, right?
I do.
Yeah, so he can't mic in. Anyway, I think we should wrap it up now.
There seem to be a lot.
Which is my favorite
chats.
Land Cruiser. If I could get a pristine one, a 60 series. If I were buying a Land Cruiser now for my family, 300 series. I wouldn't want it like.
Can I?
On the Land Cruisers up to 100 series, we're talking 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. All of those feel too old for a daily for me now. I know that's not the case for everybody. 200 and 300 are okay for a daily for me now, and I feel like the 300 is enough better than the 200 in order for that to be the one that I wanted. If it were just for me to have fun in, the 70 series without a question.
Oh, that's the one you would want to take off-roading.
I think the 70 series is so iconic, so cool, so defendable, but it's uncomfortable, not easy to live with, and not really suitable for a family. Although 60 series, though, it's close between the two. 60 is so cool.
Yeah. Every time I see them. Oh, man, we found a 60 series pickup at auction this week.
I want to do more questions, Max. Can we do more questions?
Yeah. What's minimum wage in Japan?
It depends on the city. It's city-based. So here in Yokohama, the minimum wage in Japan at the moment, I think, is somewhere around 950 yen per hour, which is about $6 $5.50.
Yeah.
But again, price of living here is much cheaper, and minimum wage here, you can survive.
Yeah.
And you literally can't. You will die of starvation in North America unless you live in your car on minimum wage.
I think Japan does a good job of making sure the absolute minimum is achievable, and that minimum is not so bad. Like having a low skill job here or a low effort job here, I don't know how you want to classify that. I'm not knocking people who do that, but you can afford an apartment, and you can probably still have some money left over to have an okay life. Spend some money on your hobbies, or go for a little bit of travel, maybe just within Japan if you're not earning that much money.
I'd say that it's pretty tough to do some of those things. You could still survive. It would be a kind of a sucky surviving, but
but like, I mean, there are compromises, right? But for some people that's okay. I mean, not having to have a car here is a big thing. Cars here are fairly expensive to run and register and insurance stuff. Yeah, and a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Follow-up question was, how much is Mike's wage?
Minimum wage.
Mike is
you don't need to comment on it, Derek.
Mike is the sales manager, and so it is very far away from minimum wage.
Does Mike pay Max for the entrance sound effect?
Yes. Every time Max presses those buttons, I have to little coin the jar. I'm trying to scroll through.
I pressed it a bunch of times just now, just so you know.
You have or are?
I have. How much is a haircut in Japan?
Oh, somebody asked about my haircut because I was supposed to get a mohawk, right? Now, I don't know if you can see this, but it's kind of mohawk-esque. However, I was at the barber yesterday, and I get
This is so weird.
I get cheap haircuts. I do not like spending money on many things other than cars and motorcycles and my other hobbies. But I went to this barber, and usually there's a lovely lady there who used to cut my hair, and she would be very careful and take her time, and it was an amazing experience for very little money, and I felt bad that I wasn't paying enough. Battery's about to run out. I'll try to make this quick. Anyway, I told this new guy that I was like, I need to have a mohawk. And then he gave me like a half bowl cut on the side, and I was like, no, brother, I don't think you understand. This is a mohawk. This is all at the top, nothing on the sides. And he was like, okay, so I'll cut a little bit more. And he cut a tiny bit more. And I was like, no, same as this side. Go all the way up. And then he's like, I don't know what he asked because I don't speak much Japanese. But I was like, daijobu, as in like, it's all going to be okay. And he was like, no, it is not going to be okay. He said, daijobu janai. And he was like, I will not let you have that haircut. I don't know why. He was just
professional,
like,
you know?
It's racism.
He was just totally against it. He was like, I'm not doing that. It's not going to be okay. And I was like, I'm literally asking for that. So I don't have a mohawk. I tried to get a mohawk.
So how much was it?
That's 1,300 yen. 1,300 yen. What's that? Like $10? It's very cheap. It's one of the like
you can
$7.50.
Yeah, you can pay more though, like all the way up to 7,000 yen.
And so you get the head towel and the massage and the
7,000 yen for a men's haircut. It gets way more expensive for a woman's.
Oh yeah,
like
hundreds of dollars.
A normal woman's haircut is pretty normal to be 10,000 to 15,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love these questions. That was fun.
Yeah.
What are Mike's other hobbies? No, the camera is about to die.
What are Mike's other hobbies?
Yep.
That's not a question.
There is.
What are Mike's other hobbies? I love going to Soapland. I don't know if anyone knows what Soapland is.
And on that note, we are going to be ending the show. Thank you everybody for watching. This is the real closing down of the show, and so don't interrupt me here. We are going to be back again next week, probably not with as long of a show, but hopefully a topic that you find interesting. We're going to be talking about Japan cars, car exporting, everything that you need to know. So make sure that you tune in there. That's the end of the show. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Yeah, have a great week.
Goodbye.
I don't go to Soapland.